Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. My wife's best friend got drunk at our Memorial Day barbecue and asked me when I was moving on. The entire patio went silent. Then she said the words that destroyed my 11-year marriage. Wait, you haven't been told. My name is Derek Mitchell. I'm 39 years old, and until that Monday afternoon in late May, I thought my biggest problem was training 2 new apprentice technicians at my HVAC company. I ran Mitchell & Sons, the heating and air conditioning business my father started 40 years ago. I'd worked alongside him since I was 18, learning every aspect of the trade, building relationships with suppliers and contractors throughout Southern California. When he passed away 8 years ago, I inherited the business and grew it from 3 employees to 22. We pulled in about $2.8 million a year, mostly from commercial installations. I had a nice house in Riverside's Canyon Crest neighborhood, and I'd been married to Stephanie for 11 years. We didn't have kids yet. Stephanie always said she wasn't ready, that her career as an events coordinator at Grandview Resort demanded too much of her time. I believed her because why wouldn't I? She was my wife. The barbecue was Stephanie's idea. She loved hosting these things, showing off our house, and posting photos on Instagram. I'd bought the property 2 years before we got married and spent the past 13 years renovating it myself. Added a pool with a waterfall feature, built an outdoor kitchen with a custom grill and pizza oven, extended the patio from 200 square feet to 600. Every brick, every tile, every piece of stonework. I did it with my own hands after long days running the business. About 38 people showed up that afternoon. Most were my employees and their families, some neighbors, a few of Stephanie's colleagues from the resort. The weather was perfect, sunny, 96 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. I'd started the smoker at 7 that morning, getting the tri-tip and ribs ready. Stephanie had been annoyed when the alarm went off, pulling a pillow over her head and muttering something about it being a holiday. My business partner Leo Walsh arrived around 1 with his wife Patricia and their 2 kids. Leo was 6'4", built like the college linebacker he used to be, and the most loyal friend I'd ever had. I'd brought him on as a part owner 4 years ago, giving him a 25% stake. Best decision I ever made. Smells incredible, boss, Leo said, grabbing a beer from the cooler. How long you been working on this? 6 hours so far, I replied, checking the temperature on the tri-tip. Another hour, and we'll be ready to eat. Patricia joined Stephanie inside, helping arrange salads and sides. Through the kitchen window, I could see Stephanie posing for selfies, her phone always in hand, always documenting our supposedly perfect life. The afternoon rolled along smoothly. Kids splashed in the pool. My lead technician Thomas Gilmore challenged Leo to cornhole. Neighbors mingled with my crew. I worked the grill, explaining my dry rub technique to anyone who asked. This was what I loved: good food, good people, the satisfaction of work well done. Around 2:30, Stephanie's best friend Bryn Sullivan stumbled through the side gate, already loud and giggly. She was 33, worked in pharmaceutical sales, and treated wine like a personality trait. She'd apparently been day drinking at another friend's pool party before coming here. Stephanie, Bryn called out, her voice carrying across the yard. This place looks amazing. Derek, you're so talented. I nodded and smiled, focusing on the ribs. Bryn grabbed a glass of white wine from the bar setup and immediately started circulating, her volume increasing with each sip. The explosion came at 4:15. I'd just announced our upcoming anniversary plans to the group gathered around the grill. So Steph and I have our 11-year anniversary coming up next month. Booked us a long weekend at Aubert's Du Soleil up in Napa Valley. 5-star, all the way. Figure my wife deserves to be spoiled after putting up with me for over a decade. People clapped and cheered. Someone whistled. I glanced over at Stephanie, expecting her to smile, maybe blow me a kiss. Instead, her face looked frozen, her smile not reaching her eyes. Bryn's voice cut through the congratulations, too loud and wine loose. Wait, so you guys are actually still doing the whole anniversary thing? I laughed, not understanding. Well, yeah, Bryn. That's generally how marriages work. But I thought. Bryn paused, confusion crossing her face. Stephanie said you two had an understanding. When are you moving on? I mean, Christopher's moving in with her next month, right? The world stopped. Not really. That's just how it felt. The pool filter kept running. Ice cubes kept dropping in the ice maker. Luke Bryan kept playing on the Bluetooth speaker. But every conversation died like someone had hit a mute button. 38 people froze mid-sentence, mid-laugh, mid-chew. My spatula hovered over the grill. I'm sorry, what did you just say? Bryn's eyes went wide as her wine-soaked brain caught up to her mouth. Christopher? Moving in? Did I? Oh no. Stephanie burst out of the house, carrying a tray of burger buns. She took one look at Bryn, at me, at the circle of silent guests, and the tray slipped from her hands. Buns scattered across the patio stones like someone had dropped a bag of dinner rolls. Bryn, Stephanie said, her voice sharp and panicked. What did you say? I just asked about Christopher moving in next month. Bryn replied, still not fully grasping what she'd done. You said Derek was fine with everything, that you guys had worked it out. Bryn, shut up, right now. My heart was pounding. Christopher who? Bryn looked between us, recognition finally dawning. Christopher Dalton? Your wife's boyfriend? The guy she's been seeing since last August? Someone gasped. A phone clattered to the concrete. One of the neighbor's kids asked why everyone stopped talking. Patricia covered her mouth with both hands. Christopher Dalton from your work? I asked Stephanie, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. Your boss's boss? Derek, please, Stephanie said desperately. Can we talk inside? How long? This isn't the place. How long, Stephanie? She didn't answer. Bryn, apparently deciding that since she'd already detonated the bomb, she might as well keep going, filled the silence. 10 months? Since that summer resort conference in Palm Desert. You were installing AC systems at that hospital project, remember? Those 90-hour weeks. I did remember. August through September of last year, we'd landed a major contract for a new medical complex. I'd been running 2 crews, working dawn to dark, coming home exhausted. Stephanie had been understanding. Supportive, even. She'd said she was proud of me for landing such a big job. She'd been lying. Leo stepped forward, his hand landing on my shoulder. Derek, buddy, maybe we should. I shook him off. No. Everyone stays. I want witnesses. Stephanie's face went pale. Derek, you've been sleeping with someone else for 10 months. My voice sounded calm, which was strange because my hands were shaking. 10 months of looking me in the face every morning. 10 months of kissing me goodbye. 10 months of lying. You're never home. Stephanie shot back, tears starting to stream. You chose your business over us. I built this business for us. I gestured at the house, the yard, everything I created. This house, this life, all for us. I needed someone who actually saw me. Did you try telling me you were unhappy? Even once. Stephanie opened her mouth, then closed it. She had no answer because we both knew the truth. She'd never said a word. Bryn, drunk and apparently committed now, kept talking. She's been planning to leave since February. We went to that divorce lawyer together in San Bernardino. She showed me the papers and everything. Bryn, Stephanie spun on her friend, fury replacing tears. I told you that in confidence. You also told me Derek was okay with it. Bryn's voice rose, her own anger surfacing. You said he was seeing someone too. You lied to me. I stared at my wife. Our anniversary trip. Were you even planning to go? Silence. The master bathroom I just finished renovating. That was for him, wasn't it? You were going to bring him here. This is my home too. Was any of it real? The question came out quieter than I intended. Did you ever actually love me? Stephanie's face crumpled. I loved who I thought you'd become. But you're just like your father. All work, no vision, no sophistication. The mention of my father, who'd passed away 8 years ago when I inherited the business, hit like a physical blow. My father built this company from nothing. Don't you dare. Christopher has ambitions. He's going places. He's refined, cultured. He's married. The words dropped into the conversation like stones into water. Stephanie went very still. Yeah. I continued, my mind suddenly clear. I met Kelly Dalton at a Chamber of Commerce event last fall. She mentioned her husband Christopher works in hotel management. Small world. I assumed she meant ex-husband since you'd been bringing someone named Christopher to company events as your colleague. But she said husband. Present tense. I didn't put it together until now. You never mentioned his last name. Always just Christopher from work. Bryn actually sobered up a little. Wait, Christopher's married. They're separated. Stephanie insisted. He's getting divorced. Is he? I looked directly at her. Because Kelly told me they were working through things. That was 8 months ago? The crowd murmured. Some people started edging toward the gate, clearly uncomfortable but unable to look away. Thomas Gilmore stood perfectly still, taking in every word. I knew he'd remember all of this. The man had a mind like a steel trap. Leo spoke up, his voice quiet but carrying across the yard. Tell him about the money, Stephanie. Stephanie's head whipped toward Leo. How do you? Your Apple Card statement fell out of your purse last month at the company cookout. I picked it up to hand it back. Couldn't help seeing the balance. $23,000. Derek doesn't know about that card, does he? My stomach dropped. What Apple Card? It's for emergencies, Stephanie started. It's her escape fund. Bryn interrupted. She was on a roll now, wine-drunk and righteously angry. She's been pulling cash advances and buying Visa gift cards to hide money. She told me all about it. I felt like I was watching this happen to someone else. Like I was floating above my own body, watching Derek Mitchell's marriage disintegrate in front of 38 witnesses while meat continued smoking on the grill behind him. So, I said slowly, affair for 10 months. Divorce planning for 3 months. Stealing marital assets for 4 months. Am I missing anything? Stephanie's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then quickly typed something. Who's that? I asked. Christopher? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. 15 minutes later, an Audi pulled into my driveway. A man got out, early 40s, silver hair perfectly styled, wearing designer casual clothes that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. He walked around to the backyard like he'd been here before. Maybe he had been. Every conversation that had cautiously resumed stopped again. Stephanie, the man said, his voice smooth and concerned. Are you okay? You sounded upset. So this was Christopher Dalton. Christopher Dalton, I presume? I set down my spatula with exaggerated care. He extended his hand like we were meeting at a business conference. We should talk, man to man. Get your hand out of my face, I said quietly, and get off my property. Leo moved to stand beside me. At 6'4" and 240 pounds, he made an effective statement without saying a word. Christopher had the sense to lower his hand. Look, this is a complicated situation. No, it's really not. You've been sleeping with my wife. She's been lying to me for 10 months while planning to divorce me and take half of everything I built. That's not complicated. That's just wrong. Stephanie and I are in love. Save it. I turned to my wife. Stephanie, pack a bag. You're leaving tonight. This is my house too. I bought it before we met. My name is on the deed. Every renovation, every improvement, my money, my labor. You're a guest who's overstayed her welcome. Leo addressed the crowd. Party's over, folks. But before you go, if anyone's willing to give a statement about what you witnessed here today, talk to Derek or me this week. We'd appreciate it. 23 people immediately volunteered. Jennifer Russo, our neighbor, stepped forward looking guilty. I recorded about 40 seconds on my phone before I stopped. Felt wrong, but if you need it, Derek, it's yours. Thank you, Jennifer. Patricia Walsh stayed, her nurse's training kicking in as she gently guided me to sit down. Claire, my sister, called from Irvine after Leo texted her. She said she'd be there in an hour. Christopher tried one more time. Stephanie, let's go. You don't have to take this. Oh, she's going with you? I looked up at him. Perfect. Have fun explaining this to Kelly and your kids in Bakersfield. His face went pale. He didn't bother denying it, just took Stephanie's arm and headed for the house. She packed 2 suitcases and her laptop bag while 38 people stood in my yard, bearing witness to the end of my marriage. When she came back out, she paused. Derek, I really am sorry. I never wanted it to end like this. How did you want it to end? I asked, with you getting half of everything while I spent years wondering what went wrong? She didn't have an answer. Christopher loaded her bags into his Audi, and I watched my wife of 11 years drive away with another man. After everyone left, I sat by the pool until the sun went down. The meat sat forgotten on the grill, probably ruined by now. I thought about the proposal I'd planned for months, the wedding that cost more than my first truck, the years I'd spent building a life I thought we were sharing. How much of it had been real? The next morning, I called Virginia Brennan. She was a divorce attorney Leo's brother had used 3 years ago, known in Riverside County as the Iron Lady, famous for protecting men's premarital assets. I got an emergency appointment for that afternoon. Virginia's office was downtown near the courthouse on Orange Street. She was 56, sharp-eyed, and started taking handwritten notes the moment I walked in. "Tell me everything," she said. "Don't protect her. Don't minimize. Don't make excuses." I told her about the barbecue, about Bryn's drunken revelation, about Christopher, about the hidden credit card. I gave her the list of 38 witnesses. I mentioned Jennifer's video recording. When I finished, Virginia leaned back in her chair. "First, the good news. The house is yours, purchased before marriage with your separate funds. Every renovation documented. She has no claim. And the bad news? She can go after your business. Depending on how much it grew during the marriage, she might be entitled to a portion of that growth." My stomach sank. "How much are we talking?" "Hard to say without reviewing your financials. But Derek, here's what we need. I need comprehensive evidence. Phone records, credit card statements, everything. I'm hiring a private investigator." The retainer was $5,000. Her rate was $425 an hour. The private investigator would cost another $2,000. "Whatever it takes," I said. The PI was a retired police detective named Frank Cordero. Over the next 3 weeks, he uncovered everything. Christopher Dalton was still legally married to Kelly Dalton. No divorce had ever been filed. He was behind on child support, $8,200 in arrears. He had $67,000 in credit card debt. And he was also texting with a hotel manager in Las Vegas named Simone. Stephanie had opened a secret checking account at Wells Fargo in January. She'd transferred $31,000 from our joint savings in 4 separate withdrawals between January and April. The Apple Card had a balance of $23,000, mostly cash advances and Visa gift card purchases. Frank made contact with Kelly Dalton. She was shocked to learn Christopher was in a serious relationship. She thought they were separated and working toward divorce, but Christopher had never filed paperwork. When she checked court records and found nothing, she filed for divorce herself and agreed to testify in my case. Bryn called 3 days after the barbecue, crying and apologetic. "I thought you knew. She told me you guys had an understanding, that you were basically roommates just going through the motions. I thought I was talking about something you already knew about." "I believe you," I told her. "And Bryn? Thank you. Genuinely. I wish the truth had come out differently, but I'm glad it came out at all." She provided screenshots of text messages from Stephanie. They were damning. August, met someone incredible at conference. Derek's so boring compared to him. October, Christopher makes me feel alive. Derek just makes me feel obligated. January, talking to lawyer next month. Need to time this right for maximum payout. February, lawyer says 11 years is magic number. File after anniversary for long-term support. April, building cash reserves. Derek's too stupid to notice. Virginia filed for divorce on my behalf 1 week after the barbecue. Stephanie's attorney was Roger Hathaway, known for aggressive tactics. His response and demand letter made my blood pressure spike. Stephanie wanted half the house value, $325,000. Half the business value. Spousal support of $4,000 monthly for 11 years. Her car. Half my retirement accounts, $170,000. Plus attorney's fees. Total demand for immediate assets, approximately $800,000, plus ongoing monthly support of $4,000. Virginia's response letter was delivered the same day. Mr. Hathaway, your client engaged in a systematic 10-month affair while concealing assets and planning to defraud my client. We have 38 witnesses, video evidence, bank records showing asset dissipation, and testimony from the affair partner's wife. Advise your client to accept reasonable settlement or face complete exposure in court. The legal battle took 6 months that felt like 6 years. Depositions were brutal. Roger Hathaway tried to paint me as an absent husband. Virginia dismantled that narrative piece by piece. At my deposition in July, Roger asked, "Isn't it true you regularly worked 60 to 70-hour weeks?" During busy seasons, yes. Standard for business owners. "And you expected your wife to tolerate your absence?" "I expected her to communicate if she was unhappy, not to have a 10-month affair while planning to rob me." "You sound bitter." Virginia cut in. "Mr. Hathaway, if you're justifying adultery based on work hours, I'd love to hear that in front of Judge Martinez." Stephanie's deposition 2 weeks later was surgical. "When did your affair begin?" Virginia asked. "It wasn't really an affair. Were you married while sleeping with Mr. Dalton?" Yes or no? Yes. August of last year. Yes. Did you tell your husband? No. When did you consult a divorce attorney? February. Valentine's Day, specifically. You consulted a divorce attorney on Valentine's Day while your husband planned anniversary trips. Did you inform him? No. Virginia presented bank statements for withdrawals from joint savings. $31,000 total. Where did this money go? I needed security. Security from what? From the divorce. So you were taking marital assets to prepare for a divorce you hadn't disclosed? Stephanie's tears didn't help her case. Christopher Dalton's deposition was swift and devastating. Mr. Dalton, are you currently married? Virginia asked. Technically, yes, but separated. Have you filed for divorce? Not yet. So you lied to Mrs. Mitchell about being divorced. These text messages show a 6-month relationship with Simone Ferretti in Las Vegas. Were you seeing her while dating Mrs. Mitchell? Christopher's face went pale. It's complicated. You're behind on child support. You carry $67,000 in credit card debt. You sold Mrs. Mitchell a fantasy that never existed. Roger objected repeatedly, but the damage was done. Kelly Dalton's testimony was devastating. She described Christopher's pattern, at least 3 affairs she knew about. Same script every time. Promises to leave, never follows through, moves on to someone new. Mrs. Mitchell isn't unique, Kelly said. She's the latest in a pattern. Christopher likes the fantasy. But when reality sets in, bills, responsibility, consequences, he disappears. Roger Hathaway tried to negotiate. Virginia refused everything. We want a trial. The trial lasted 3 days in November. Day 1, I testified about the house I'd bought before marriage and renovated myself. My accountant showed how the business grew from my pre-marriage reputation. Leo testified about Stephanie's lack of involvement. In 4 years as Derek's partner, she came to 1 Christmas party. That was it. Day 2 brought witnesses from the barbecue. Thomas Gilmore described the moment precisely. Mr. Mitchell looked devastated. Mrs. Mitchell admitted everything in front of everyone. Jennifer Russo's 40-second video played in court. Stephanie's voice. I needed someone who saw me. My response. Did you try telling me you were unhappy? Her silence was damning. Bryn Sullivan testified with obvious remorse. She told me Derek knew, that they had an understanding. When I mentioned Christopher at the barbecue, I thought it was safe conversation. Derek's face, he had no idea. Did Mrs. Mitchell discuss divorce plans with you? Extensively. She needed to wait until after 11 years for maximum alimony. She talked about hiding money. She was calculating everything. Kelly Dalton's testimony destroyed Christopher. 19 years married. He's had 3 affairs I know of. Promised to leave each time, never did. He's $8,000 behind on child support. Day 3 was Stephanie's turn. Roger walked her through years of feeling neglected. Virginia's cross-examination was brutal. Did you ever tell your husband you were unhappy? Not directly. Did you suggest counseling? No. Did you contribute money to house renovations? No. Labor? No. Virginia read from texts. Derek's too stupid to notice. That's you. Talking about stealing money from your husband. Need to time this right for maximum payout. Does that sound like someone who wanted to save their marriage? Stephanie cried. Roger objected. The text messages spoke for themselves. Judge Martinez, after reviewing everything, delivered her verdict. Your Honor, Mrs. Mitchell engaged in calculated deception for 10 months. She didn't communicate. She exploited trust. She didn't seek counseling. She sought an affair. She didn't request fair division. She hid assets while planning to demand half of everything. The law doesn't reward this behavior. Judge Martinez took 2 hours to render her decision. I've practiced family law for 30 years, she began. I've seen contested divorces that could have been avoided with communication. This is not that case. Mrs. Mitchell's behavior was calculating, deceptive, and in bad faith. She went through the evidence, the affair, the secret planning, the hidden assets totaling over $50,000, the lies to friends and family. Mr. Mitchell purchased the residence before marriage with separate funds. He renovated with his own labor and separate business funds. The house remains his. Mr. Mitchell worked in his family's HVAC business from age 18, establishing industry expertise and relationships before marriage. He inherited the business during marriage, but its growth resulted entirely from his premarital expertise and separate effort. Mrs. Mitchell contributed no labor, capital, or expertise. The business remains his separate property. Mrs. Mitchell's dissipation of marital assets is awarded to Mr. Mitchell as reimbursement. Mrs. Mitchell receives her personal property and vehicle. She receives no share of the house, no share of the business, no spousal support, no retirement division. The gavel came down. Stephanie sobbed. Roger looked defeated. Virginia allowed herself a small smile. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in 6 months. Outside the courthouse, Stephanie tried one last time. I have nothing. How am I supposed to survive? You should have thought about that before sleeping with a married man while planning to rob me blind. Derek, please. We're done. You made your choices. Live with them. The months that followed were about healing, but healing isn't linear. December was dark. The holidays felt hollow. Claire flew in from Irvine and stayed through New Year's. Leo and Patricia hosted me for Christmas dinner. Their kids made me laugh, reminded me that joy still existed in the world. I sold the Canyon Crest house in January. Too many memories haunted those walls. Every room held echoes of a marriage that never really existed. I walked through one last time before the new owners took possession, and I felt nothing. That surprised me. I thought I'd feel sadness or loss. Instead, I felt relief. The new place in the Wood Streets area was smaller, 2,400 square feet, but it was mine in a way the old house never was. Modern, clean lines, big windows, an open floor plan. I decorated it myself. Navy blue couch instead of Stephanie's beige. Dark wood instead of her white furniture. My books on the shelves. My artwork on the walls. For the first time since I was 28, I lived in a space that reflected who I actually was. Therapy helped. Dr. Patricia Harper, no relation to my friend Patricia, specialized in betrayal trauma. Twice a week at first, I sat in her office and unpacked 11 years of lies. You're grieving multiple losses, she told me in our third session. The marriage you thought you had, the future you planned, your identity as a husband, even your trust in your own judgment. I feel stupid, I admitted. How did I not see it? Because she worked very hard to hide it. Derek, you're not stupid for trusting your wife. That's what marriage is supposed to be. She violated that trust systematically and deliberately. This is not your failure. Those words helped more than I could express. By March, I was down to once-a-week therapy. I started exercising again, something I'd neglected during the marriage. Joined a gym, started running. The physical exhaustion helped quiet the mental noise. The business became my meditation. There's something centering about HVAC work. Problems have solutions. Systems follow logic. You fix what's broken, and it works again. I wished relationships were that straightforward. Leo noticed the change. You're different lately. Lighter, somehow. I feel like I can breathe again. Didn't realize how suffocating that marriage was until I got out of it. In April, Leo and I restructured the partnership. I sold him another 25% stake, making us equal partners. Mitchell and Walsh HVAC. It felt right. I ran into Bryn at a coffee shop in May, exactly 1 year after the barbecue. She looked nervous when she approached my table. Derek. Hey, how are you? I'm good, actually. Join me. We talked for an hour. She'd cut back on drinking after that Memorial Day, started seeing a therapist herself. I felt responsible for destroying your marriage. You didn't destroy my marriage, Bryn. Stephanie destroyed it 10 months before you said anything. You just made it impossible for her to keep lying. I should have told you sooner. Sober. Maybe. But honestly, I'm grateful it happened the way it did. Public, undeniable, with witnesses. If you told me privately, I might have confronted her alone. She'd have lied, and I might have believed her. This way, I knew the truth immediately and completely. Bryn's eyes filled with tears. That's really generous. It's honest. You did me a favor, even if you didn't mean to. 2 months later, in July, I met Jenna Prescott. The medical complex we'd been servicing held a ribbon-cutting ceremony. I attended as a courtesy. My company handled all their HVAC. The architect was there, a woman in her early 30s with dark hair pulled back in a professional twist and eyes that didn't miss anything. Your work on the climate control is exceptional, she said, shaking my hand. Most contractors cut corners. You didn't. I don't believe in cutting corners. You design it right, I'll install it right. I respect that. She handed me a business card. Jenna Prescott, AIA. My firm is designing an office complex in Murrieta. Might need someone who shares that philosophy. I'll email you tomorrow. She smiled. Please do. 3 days later, over email discussions about ductwork specifications, she mentioned she was divorced. For years ago, we were too young, wanted different things. Stayed friends, though. I found myself typing more than professional responses. We talked about marriage, about lessons learned, about starting over. Eventually, she wrote, "This feels more like therapy than business correspondence. Want to grab coffee and continue the conversation in person?" We met at Back to the Grind on a Sunday morning. She wore jeans and a simple blue shirt, no makeup, her hair down. She looked more relaxed than at the ribbon cutting. "Full disclosure before we go further," she said after we ordered. "I know about your divorce. Small professional community. Word travels. And you still agreed to coffee? I respect how you handled it. Public humiliation like that. Most people would have fallen apart. You stayed dignified. I had moments of falling apart, usually late at night. But yeah, I tried to handle it with some grace. My divorce was amicable. We'd been married 3 years, realized we were better as friends. No cheating, no drama. We still text occasionally. But what happened to you?" She shook her head. "I can't imagine that kind of betrayal. It was educational. Taught me every red flag I'd been ignoring. Also taught me I don't want to waste time with games or unclear intentions. Good. I'm direct to a fault. What you see is what you get." That directness was refreshing. After years of Stephanie's manipulation and hidden agendas, Jenna's transparency felt like drinking cold water after crossing a desert. Our second date was dinner at Mario's place on Mission and Avenue. She ordered without consulting me, paid for her half without asking, and called me out when I got too much in my head about work. "You just spent 5 minutes talking about compressor ratios without taking a bite of your pasta. You don't have to impress me with work talk." "Sorry. Habit. Don't apologize. Just be present. I'm here for you, not for your job." Third date, we hiked Mount Rubidoux at dawn. The conversation flowed easily. Childhood stories, career ambitions, books we'd read, places we wanted to travel. She made me laugh. Actually laugh, not the polite chuckles I'd given Stephanie. "You're fun," I said at the summit, watching the sunrise. "So are you. Your ex-wife was an idiot. She wanted someone more sophisticated, more cultured." Cultured is overrated. Give me someone real over someone polished any day. By September, we were exclusive. She met Leo and Patricia in October. Leo pulled me aside afterward. "I like her. She's got substance. And she doesn't look at you like a bank account." Claire met Jenna in November. My sister, never one to sugarcoat, told Jenna straight out, "Derek's been through hell. If you're not serious, walk away now." Jenna didn't flinch. "I'm serious. Your brother is one of the most genuine people I've met. I'm not going anywhere." Claire hugged her. Later, she told me, "Finally, a woman with substance. Don't mess this up." Planning not to. The relationship felt different from the start. When Jenna was upset, she said so. When I was withdrawn, a trauma response I recognized from therapy, she called me on it gently but firmly. "You're pulling back. What's going on?" "Just thinking about work." "No, you're thinking about Stephanie. I can tell the difference. Talk to me." So I did. I talked about the triggers, when I saw couples on social media, when I drove past the old house, when trust issues crept up unexpectedly. She listened without judgment, asked questions, gave me space when I needed it, and pulled me close when I didn't. "I'm not her," Jenna said one night in late November, 18 months after the barbecue. "I won't lie to you. I won't hide things. If I'm unhappy, you'll know. If I want something, I'll ask. You don't have to read my mind or guess my intentions. That's all I want. Honesty. Then that's what you'll get." 18 months after the Memorial Day barbecue, I ran into Thomas Gilmore at the Home Depot in Temecula Valley. "Derek, how are you, man?" "I'm doing really well, actually." "That's great to hear. That whole situation was brutal to watch." It was. But honestly, best thing that could have happened. Forced me to face reality. That's a mature perspective. Took me a while to get here. But I'm grateful now. Sometimes things need to completely fall apart before you can rebuild properly. That evening, I sat on the patio of my new house. Scout, Jenna's rescue dog, dozed at my feet. Jenna was inside making dinner, humming along to music. I thought about that Memorial Day afternoon. About Bryn's drunken question. About 38 witnesses watching my world implode. I was humiliated, devastated, lost. But I'm grateful it happened that way. Grateful for the witnesses who saw the truth. Grateful for Bryn's accidental honesty. Grateful for Virginia's competence. Grateful for Leo's loyalty. Grateful for Claire's support. Most of all, I'm grateful I found out. Because Stephanie would have kept lying. She would have divorced me on her timeline, taken half of everything I'd built, and I'd have spent years wondering what I did wrong. Instead, I got the truth. Painful, public, undeniable truth. And from that truth, I rebuilt. New house. Equal partnership with Leo. A relationship with a woman who values honesty. Peace of mind. My advice to anyone going through something similar: don't ignore your gut. Don't make excuses for behavior that makes you uncomfortable. And if you find yourself at a barbecue where someone's drunk friend starts revealing uncomfortable truths, listen, because sometimes the people who care least about social nicety are the ones telling you exactly what you need to hear. I rebuilt my life from the ashes of that Memorial Day barbecue. The life I have now, built on honesty and authentic connections, is worth infinitely more than the comfortable lie I was living. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I say what doesn't kill you makes you wiser. I'm wiser now, happier now, more myself than I've been in over a decade. And it all started with a drunk woman's question at a backyard barbecue. Best worst day of my life. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.